Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eljin, and today we are diving into the latest developments in the HDB resale market. You've probably seen the headlines: a 38% drop in transactions, the lowest since 2020, and then a lot of content creators are calling it a crash. But is that what is really happening? In this video, we'll break down what the numbers actually mean, why the slowdown is happening, and what you should be thinking about as a HDB homeowner. Whether you're planning to upgrade, hold or sell, I'll help you to understand how to prepare and make smarter decisions in this changing market. So let's do this over a cup of coffee. So these are the latest developments in the HDB resale market. We have a decline in the resale volume, we have a slowdown in price growth, and we have a decline in this price index. So beyond the headlines, let's look into the numbers. Alright, so in the resale volume, there is a 38% drop, and in price growth, it has been a slowdown over 4 consecutive quarters. And in terms of the drop in the price index, it is a 0.6% drop month on month. So does that mean that sellers should start to panic and buyers start to rejoice? Now, let's take a further look before we can, conclude anything out of this. And of course, when you see the news headlines like this, HDB resale volume falls 38%, the lowest since 2020, then you might feel a bit fearful. But beyond this drop in the transaction volume, did it actually translate into a significant decline in the resale prices as well? Apparently not, because if you look at the resale price index, the decline is only 0.6% month on month. So does that mean that HDB sellers have very strong holding power? So based on my own interpretation, those who have sold are probably those HDB homeowners who are more pressed for time. For example, if you bought a private property, there is a timeline to exercise the option. Otherwise, you have to forfeit the option fee. Similarly, if you have committed to a BTO or a resale flat, you also have 6 months to sell your existing flat from the date of key collection. So if your deadline is approaching, you are more likely to accept a price that is more reflective of the current market situation instead of trying to chase for record prices. What is the reason behind all this negative news in the HDB resale market? So I believe the most likely reason is due to the shift in demand to BTO flats. Because in October 2025 sales launch, HDB has introduced flats in very desirable locations such as Keppel, Mount Pleasant, Bishan, and Ang Mo Kio, and in particular, the short waiting time flats. So there are about 3,300 short waiting time flats that were introduced in this sales launch, and this can be completed in less than 3 years, which makes them faster than private condominiums, right? And HDB has started construction of this short waiting time flats way ahead of the sales launch. And recently there were some complaints from BTO owners in this project in Yishun called Vanda Breeze. Alright, they were complaining that, hey, how come my key collection will take 8 years to complete, whereas these short waiting time flats in, some of these short waiting time flats were in Yishun Glades, I think, alright, had a completion period of less than 3 years, whereas theirs is 8 years. So HDB came out to clarify and say that, based on the median timeline from application to completion, it is actually a 67-month wait. In any case, an 8-year wait will be very crazy, right? Imagine your child is in primary 1 during the sales launch, and then, to the time when you collect your keys, he would already be in secondary 3. And that's why the short waiting time flats and the sale or balance flats are very popular among home buyers. But yes, if we put the numbers into perspective, it's about 900 buyers who went to purchase directly from HDB instead of from the resale market due to the very attractive options. And definitely, if given a choice as a Singaporean, would you rather buy a BTO flat or a resale flat? I think the answer is quite obvious, right? You'll definitely buy a BTO flat because it is newer, cheaper, and better. So is this an indication of a cooling market? And what is the forecast for the HDB resale market going forward? Before we move on, if you found the content useful, please help to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. You'll be very much appreciated. Thank you. What is going to happen moving forward? So analysts expect the market will cool further in the months ahead. Yes, the market is cooling and it's kind of expected because more supply is introduced to the market to balance out the demand. So buyers now have more choices. They have the BTO flats, they have the sale or balance flats, and they have the short waiting time flats. So as more buyers start to gravitate towards purchasing directly from HDB, then the resale listings will start to accumulate, and naturally we will start to see a decline in prices. Of course, it's not just supply that is affecting the resale market. We have a variety of supporting factors such as your financing restrictions. Alright, young home buyers, when they want to buy an aging flat, they will find that they are constrained by the limited use of their CPF funds. And of course, the replacement of SIRS reverse, that will be from 2030 onwards, that will effectively eliminate the lottery effect. Alright, and then the introduction of 12,000 short waiting time flats by 2027. Alright, and then of course the review of the BTO eligibility criteria. This will potentially allow more home buyers to enter into the BTO market. Alright, because they are looking into revising and increasing the income ceiling for BTO flats, and then to lower down the age criteria for singles. Okay, and of course, the wait out period for private property homeowners, this was introduced a few years back. In summary, the main reason that will impact HDB resale market is still government policy, because they have to keep HDB housing affordable and sustainable for future generations. So it is natural that the HDB resale value must align with the remaining lease of the flat. But what does this mean to you? How can Singaporeans capitalize on this system to effectively plan for our retirement goals? So please start planning early, because our government does give us a variety of housing options to meet our needs at different stages in life. Therefore, it is really up to you to make use of them effectively. So just a heads up, there are 130,000 BTO flats that will be introduced into the market from 2021 to 2027. So if you notice from the recent BTO sale exercises, most first-timers will actually be able to get their BTO flats successfully. To summarize, demand from the first-timers is diverted away from the resale market to direct purchases from the HDB. And resale supply will also be increased when second-timers start to sell their current flats when they collect their keys to their new BTO flats. So you can see, how it really impacts demand and supply, right? Demand is taken away from the resale market into the BTO market, whereas supply will be increased when the second-timers sell their existing flats to collect their keys from their new BTOs. This is the resale price index for the past 20 years. And in the last 20 years, we had 2 up cycles and 1 down cycle. If you have noticed, the 2 up cycles were sharp spikes compared to the down cycle, which is more gradual in nature. The main reason for the sharp spikes is due to strong demand and undersupply in the HDB market. And the start of the down cycle in 2013 was triggered by very similar factors that we see today. So when HDB starts to play catch up in terms of supply coupled with cooling measures, this led to a gentle price decline for 7 years before COVID started to reverse the downtrend in just 1 year. So how would the resale price index move going forward? So I would say that if prices were to go up, I would give this a 10% probability and a 40% that the price will remain flat, and a 50% possibility that prices will go into a gentle decline. Now, will history repeat itself? Let's take a look at these 2 articles. The first one back in 2014, Household Wealth Takes Knock as HDB Values Fall. So the couple of reasons that were cited in this article were several rounds of cooling measures and a major ramp up of housing supply are making their impact felt on household balance sheets. So does this sound very similar to what we are experiencing right now? Okay, so onward to this 2019 article. HDB resale prices dropped for 6th straight year, declining 0.9% in 2018. Okay, let's then move back to the price index chart that we saw earlier. So I remember that when I served some of these HDB sellers back in 2019, they actually bought their resale flats, from this during this uptrend, 2011 to 2014. And when we sold off the flats in 2019, all of them were in negative sales. And why did this happen? It was mainly due to two reasons. Okay, first is that selling price would naturally be lower than the purchase price because of the decline in prices. And secondly is due to lack of financial planning. So what does a negative sale mean? It means that you do not get back a single dollar in cash. It means your option fee, like your $5,000 that you receive from the buyer in cash, you have to refund this amount back into your CPF account. You're not allowed to keep it at all. Alright? Now, what should HDB owners do? If you are a BTO owner and you've already met your MOP, good news is that you are in a very strong position because your cash proceeds is at the highest. Now, if you already have plans for the next 6 months or even up to 3 years, then consider whether it is feasible to bring forward those plans. Work out the scenarios with your agent. Alright, what is the cost of staying put versus taking action now? Now, for owners who have bought a resale HDB, then it very much depends on your personal situation. If you are unsure, then contact your agent as well to work out a financial analysis for you. Because like I mentioned earlier, you should avoid running into a negative sales situation like my previous clients. And they all ran into negative sales because the selling price was lower than their purchase price, and also it was due to lack of proper financial planning. For owners who are retiring or have retired, and if you're staying in a 4-room or larger flat, then consider applying for the 2-room flexi flat with shorter lease tenures from HDB. Okay, I think this would allow you to cash out for your retirement needs. And if you own a 3-room flat, then you can also consider doing a lease buyback with HDB. We have come to the end of the video, and if you are unsure how the current market or the market going forward will affect you, then speak to a trusted agent to explore your options. And if you don't already have someone advising you, you're always welcome to reach out to me. My number is listed here below and I'll be happy to help you. And if you found the content useful, please support us by giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.